forget sex. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex.
Welcome to the Informed Pregnancy and Parenting Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Elliot Berlin, and I'm joined by our co-hosts of the day, Kira Soltanovich. Kira is a hilariously entertaining comedian, writer, actor, and producer, and a two-time reproducer. Isn't that true?
I can't let that one just slide. You got to run these by me first.
Sorry. Edit. Kira has a 1-hour stand-up comedy special on Amazon called You Did This to Me, which was shot during her third trimester. She did season 1 of Winsanity, and she has a popular parenting podcast of her own called The Kira Soltanovich Show. Welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you, Dr. Berlin, and thank you for letting me interrupt your intro several times.
No, of course.
You know I can't.
That's why I brought you back.
Yeah.
Nicole Sessions, you've been on our podcast before as well. You're a wife, mother, birth worker, and artist, in addition to being a writer and actress. By the way, I notice you're an actress and not an actor.
Yeah.
Is that a conscious choice?
Absolutely.
You're an actress.
Yes.
But you also are certified as a birth doula, Reiki practitioner, yoga instructor, and hypnobirthing childbirth educator. You're currently finishing your first year as an herbalism apprentice. And you and your husband have an online business selling vaginal steam stools and herbal steaming blends.
That's correct.
Welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you. Nice
This
to be
chemistry
here.
is all going to work great because today we are talking about sex. And our guest is Bianca White, a certified sex coach specializing in love, intimacy, and relationships. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello.
I have a question for you. What is a sex coach?
A sex coach. Well, that's a pretty loaded question.
What do people think a sex coach is?
Well, that's probably about it.
Are you there during sex?
I do not watch people have sex.
Oh, okay.
But I do recommend instructional videos sometimes about with people having sex.
Because it'd be great
That's
if
the
she's
extent of it, though.
like a third base coach, where they're giving
Is
signals.
that a pun right there? Third
Well,
base coach?
yes, but like, that's my mind.
Did you choose third base?
She's touching her shoulders and the brim of her hat and doing
Yeah.
like this.
To the left.
Yeah.
It's similar. It's similar. I mean, I like
it's
it.
funny
in
that
teaching.
Kira says because immediately when I heard the term sex coach, I was thinking about all my coaches in my life, like my wrestling coach and my basketball coach, and they just, they drive skills over and over and over again, and then they're standing on the sidelines being like inside roll, half Nelson.
No, for sure. I mean, that's what when people
you.
call and they say, what is coaching? How is it different than therapy? Most of whatever I tell them, it has to do with the fact that, I have to dispel the myth of, you're calling a sex coach, you're not calling a sex therapist. A sex therapist basically deals with, your issues with regards to the past, why you are the way you are today, versus a sex coach, which will say, well, what's your goal? Where do you want to get to? So, traditionally, a regular sports coach would be well, this is what you want to do. We want to win the game. So these are the things that we're going to do to win the game. These are the plays. And then I'm here to kind of coach you on. So that's kind of basically my role. I mean, I just kind of go, okay, if you want to have better intimacy, these are the things that we're going to do to try to achieve that. And then we just check in, weekly, bi-monthly, just figure
with
out.
an individual? Or
Say
with
that again?
Are you working with an individual? Are you working with a couple?
Typically, I work individually, but I also do work with couples as well.
Either individual?
With either.
Okay. I'm saying you can work with, it's not just working with the woman or working with the man in a heterosexual relationship.
It's I work with whoever calls, really. Whoever rings the phone.
Okay. So anybody.
Yeah.
But more often one person in a relationship and sometimes the couple.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I can totally relate to this because I remember I had a cross-country coach in high school who wanted to have sex with me. Oh. So it
Very
makes
similar.
sense.
That's a different
It's
type of
different?
sex coach.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. I'm going to need more
Coach
information.
with the sex.
That's more like coach sex.
Coach sex.
Which
okay.
is totally different.
So sorry. English is my
Sex
second
with a
language.
coach.
Cross country, huh?
Yeah, I did cross-country.
That's endurance.
It is. So I have a question about a sex coach.
Yes.
So let's say a couple is having trouble, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they've lost the intimacy after, the kids, and even vaginal steaming is not helping, which I don't even know what that is yet, but I just feel like maybe, they got the stool and it's not. So what if they have two different ideas of what they want their sex life to be?
That's more often what I get. Is
Okay.
most people I think that I see are usually one person desires sex more than the other person. And so it's usually about bridging that gap, kind of coming to the middle ground of like, listen, my husband wants sex all the time and I don't really want to have sex all the time. And that's generally more often than not, like the general consensus of people in general is that men require sex more and that women don't really want sex as much, especially if you bring in like pregnancy and children.
Right.
Taking care of the children kind of causes a little bit of like a deficit in terms of like time and energy and attention and stuff. So usually after pregnancy, if we're dealing with children, then a lot of times, we have to suggest kind of, amping up the intimacy.
Right. I think also like it's your time is limited.
Yeah.
But also just the time to like get to the waxing lady.
That's
a huge one for me.
Sure.
But like time, okay, the kids and the dinner and the
If
bath
only
and
you
all
could
that.
multitask.
You're still waxing?
No, I mean I have 2 kids and I'm married.
That's what I'm saying.
That's right.
That went out the
That's-
door once I got married.
It almost seems like if you could multitask
Or
and
even
just have
before
sex with the
marriage.
waxing lady while
Start living
Right.
together.
Have sex with the waxing lady. You're
and
already
just
there.
kill 2 birds with one
Right.
one strip.
See, that's why
Easier.
you're a doctor.
Yeah, that's why they pay me the big bucks. How do you become a sex coach? What is the training like?
That's been a journey. So sex coaching is a certification. So it's technically not like years and years and years and years of studying at a traditional college. Most people don't offer sex coaching degrees, but there are programs that do. So you can become like a life coach, a nutritional coach, or a sex coach from a specific, specified special school.
Okay. A school of sex coachery?
Yes.
Okay.
It's not technically called sex coachry, but
I
it's,
assumed I might have made that up.
yeah. It's just sex coaching.
Okay.
But it's
what's
I'm technically
the
getting
program like?
So there's a 2-year kind of self-paced program that I took by this woman here in Los Angeles by the name of Dr. Patty Britton, who is basically like the foremost expert on sex coaching. And she has a program called the Sex Coach University. Which kind
Great
of
name.
Yeah, to me it sounded honestly a little bit hokey when I checked it out, but the company is itself like a really highly reputable company. They're like the foremost sex coaching business in probably the entire world. And that's only because I did do a fair amount of research. And in my experience, just having been in the sex coaching industry now for the past few years, that like everybody knows Patty and they know that her coaching program is probably like the best.
How do you, at what point did you decide, when people ask you as a kid, what do you want to do when you grow up?
No, this isn't my career of origin.
Right. Oh, you did something else first.
Yeah, I was a costume designer and stylist for like 20 years.
Oh.
But in that whole process, I kept saying, this is not brain surgery. I'm not curing, childhood cancer. This is just not like, hurry up and go get those shoes, like, going to make me feel good at night.
Oh, it wasn't fulfilling.
No, it just felt like, I'm not helping people. And, it made me feel like, when people come in and you see their vulnerabilities, of them taking off their clothes and putting on other clothes.
Which is almost the same as your new career.
Exactly.
Right.
I'm still telling people to take off their clothes.
Right, and put on other clothes.
Right. But yeah, you get used to seeing people's insecurities, and it was kind of sad. I think every day in and day out, and I try to help people. Be like, well, maybe if you just like work it a little bit, or like stand like this, and just like you got to really feel it, and try to coerce people into feeling better about what clothes they were putting on to kind of put a good foot out into the world.
So you were like a wardrobe therapist.
Yes, I was. I started as a wardrobe therapist. Thank you.
And now you're a sex coach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When did you, that wasn't fulfilling. When did you stumble across?
I started actually fostering children. And my work schedule was like 20-hour days, and it just wasn't conducive to like starting a family. I knew I wanted to do this. It kind of happened sort of just by chance, but I got this opportunity to foster these kids, and I was like, all right, maybe I should just collect unemployment and figure out plan B. And I did. And I checked out this program. I just kind of just right out the gate just ran with it. And then over the course of probably 4 years in my studies, which should have taken me 2 years, right? But I was studying lots of different things in that whole realm. And then I came across another program that they offer through a institute in San Francisco called the Institute of the Advanced Study of Human Sexuality, which they offer a doctorate program.
Oh, wow.
And you can become, along
Doctor
the way.
of Human Sexuality?
Yeah. And then it's also called clinical sexology. So, yeah.
Sounds like something Prince would be a
Right.
part of. Sexology.
That's right.
Yeah.
Clinical sexology.
And then also sex counselor. So that's like the different designations along the way.
Is that sort of like Old Name B, Gap, Banana Republic?
You say that again?
Nothing.
I have a question for you. So when people meet you, do they just assume you're like really kinky and multi-orgasmic and like
Are you talking to me?
you have the best sex? Yeah, I'll get back to
radio.
you. I'll get back to you, Bianca.
That yarmulke.
The people, yeah,
Ooh,
it's a dead giveaway.
it gets ladies hot.
We got you covered.
Sometimes you wear it a little angle. It's like, hey. Sorry, go ahead.
It's a multifaceted tool.
Well, I'm trying to think of like assumptions people make when you know, if you tell people you're a doula, they assume you're just like walking around wearing these like flowy skirts and like a
Right.
flower crown.
Well, you did have a little placenta on your arm. I didn't want to say
I thought I
anything.
got all of
Yeah,
it
you had a little bit of placenta. I was like, uh-oh.
Kira ate it.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, it was delicious.
did.
Jerky.
I have in the
Placenta
past.
jerky.
Yes. All the time.
Yes.
I
And you're
mean-
like, I'm a regular person.
Well, I think the assumption, is that if you are a sex coach, then you are kinky or, are into BDSM or have like ropes and chains and, all kinds of stuff in your house. And the reality of that is that I'm constantly dispelling that myth. Because that's huge. Because I think the more that people talk about sex, and the more people are educated about exactly the different kinds of ways that people can be open about sex, there's less shame around sex. So right when you just mention the word sex, people just all of a sudden assume like the worst, I think, which is like are already very telling, So, I mean, I do have sex toys at home, but they're not like really kinky ones. And I call the kind of sex that I have vanilla sex, which is usually the kind of sex that most people have. Normal sex.
I don't know what flavor my
And I
sex
shouldn't
is.
even say normal. As a sex therapist, I mean, sex coach.
Pistachio. I see you like a pistachio.
I think cinnamon.
Oh,
I'm
that's
just saying.
Spicy.
cinnamon.
It's
Yeah.
a little hot.
It
Hello.
sounds very spicy.
Wow.
Let's turn on the air.
Is there a cinnamon flavored ice cream?
It is getting hot in here.
There is cinnamon flavored ice cream
Is there?
and cookie butter.
Cookie butter.
Speculoos.
That sounds
Speculoos.
Speculoos.
Cookie butter
is that
sex.
speculum? How do you say
Speculoos,
it?
I think.
Speculum?
speculum flavored. Oh my gosh, guys.
That's gross.
It's delicious.
I don't know if we should continue with this. Speculum flavored. Oof.
All right. These are the questions I get. This is when I met you and found out you were a sex coach, I thought I get these questions fairly regularly from our clients, and maybe you have some ideas and suggestions. Fertility, pregnancy, and postpartum, each one sort of poses kind of a roadblock to, or a change to the relationship, to the physical relationship that then sometimes spills over into the relationship as a whole. In fertility, couples, especially the longer that they're trying to conceive and the more they go down that medical route, it's almost sort of like at 2 p.m. she'll be peeing on a stick and get a positive and she'll call him up, come on, get home right now. I'm peaking. We got to have sex, which becomes very mechanical and can really take away that part of the relationship and then strain the whole relationship. So what are those couples, how can they prevent slipping down that slippery slope?
Yeah, well, also coupled with, clients that I've had that feel like once they've reached that point of like finally turning the corner and going into in vitro, their own fertility issues or infertility issues become apparent, and then they're like, we're just doing it, but like, we have to do it, and it's just so beyond even just being clinical and mechanical that they feel like it's just it's not going to work. They just feel like there's just
Failure.
no hope. Yeah, they feel like failures. That's
So then sex becomes something very negative.
Absolutely.
Not even just like we have to, but it doesn't work for us. We're broken.
Yeah, that's why I think sex coaching is actually super beneficial, because when you come to see a sex coach, they can kind of put a new spin on it. And really a lot of the times, most of what I end up doing is just pointing out things that I think that people have maybe forgotten, going back to the whole idea of like having sex, once you've already had kids and making that time again. We had the time. That at one point our sex lives were great before children, right? And then you get married and then you kind of forget. The husband has less attention. We have less time, energy, all that kind of stuff. We're just, being pulled in so many different directions. So the same is true with fertility and, and sex, that people end up having kind of these lapses in what was creating intimacy for them in the first place. You know, that there's an attraction, you know, this physical attraction when you want to have sex with somebody, that it's not, even if it's for procreation, right? You're still thinking like, oh my God, I really want to have sex with my mate, my lover. And when you couple this with all of those other negative things, then what you have to kind of be reminded of, I think, is what are you attracted to, you know? And those are the things that I kind of have to be incited again. You know, it's like, let's spark those kinds of things that we can make you excited about your lover about again, you know? So if it's like going on dates or like, you know, helping out your lover do things that might have been super menial tasks around the house or whatever, just to kind of like release the burden, and then sparking other things that might be intimate again, you know? Like, I mean, some couples need instruction on actually how to be intimate. They might not have ever been intimate in the beginning, which is kind of confusing, I think, for some people, because you're like, how did you even get together and stay together then? You know, like if you never had intimacy in the beginning. Mm-hmm. But I think some people don't realize, I think, that some people are so shut off maybe at the beginning of a relationship that finally when they get into like the real nitty gritty of something, like a year later when you've finally gotten to know somebody really well and you're like, okay, now I realize maybe there was just a blockade, a complete blockade in my brain about like, you know, really getting to that point where I was vulnerable. I just did it, you know, and I just got through it. And, you know, I didn't want this person that I really liked to like leave me or whatever, you know, or even if you've surpassed that and you've gotten to the point where you're in a relationship and you guys did have that intimacy, it's about, like recreating that again. So
going back to the basics.
Pretty much. I mean, you have to, and it just depends. Each couple's kind of like a couple by couple basis. You know, you have to figure out like what will reincite it for them each. You know, I mean, for one couple, it might be like planning sex, not the scheduled sex that you schedule for fertility reasons, but scheduled pleasure sex. So it would be like, you know, let's say every Monday night at, 9 o'clock after the kids have gone to bed, we light a candle, we burn some incense, we play our favorite music, and we both get dressed up in whatever we're supposed to get dressed up in, whatever the other person desires, and you create that moment of intimacy that'll be really sexy and romantic if that's what does it for you. Just to give an example, and then you plan on getting romantic. You know,
I like that.
Yeah, that's
all right. Well, that's okay. That's not how. I have plantar fasciitis in my left foot, and I have to sleep with a boot.
Oh no!
And my husband wants to have sex with me as I'm wearing a boot.
How's that work out?
Do you take it off?
I'm sleeping, we're in bed, and I have a boot on.
Take off the boot.
And I'm like, I'm wearing a boot.
I sleep with a mouth guard. I have to take out the mouth guard. You know, sometimes I'll find myself kissing him, and I'm like, I'm gonna take it out.
Yeah. And I've never, ever, ever, in 14 years together with my husband, ever denied, if he's ever asked for sex, I'm always like, let's go.
Let's do it.
You know,
You're
like,
game.
suit up.
It's good.
This was the first time ever that I've ever been like, I'm wearing a boot. And also, we still share a room with the baby.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's tough.
That's a side point.
tough.
That's totally bad.
We are going to take a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Okay, let's talk about pregnancy for a minute and how that changes the relationship. Different stages of pregnancy. Obviously, some people get really nauseous and low energy. Some women at the beginning of pregnancy. Generally, this is how it seems to go. First trimester, a little bit not feeling great. Second trimester, feeling kind of awesome. And third trimester, not feeling that good again. Was that your experiences?
I can sign off on that. Yeah.
I made a big mistake. I was 10 days late with my first, and I tried everything that they say, go eat the salad and go bounce on a ball. And then I made my husband have sex with me, and the look on this poor man's face.
Oh, no.
I was enormous. My baby, the first one was about 10 pounds.
Ooh.
So that look, I made a mistake. I feel like it was a mistake. I feel like from that moment, he hasn't looked at me the same way, and I regret making him have sex with me.
Did he not want to? He didn't want to.
He did not want to. And it was like making a child eat asparagus.
Oh.
He was just like, oh, God. Like he was angry about it. He was disgusted by it. I felt really
Did it
just
work?
terrible. No!
Oh,
I still had to get induced.
what a waste.
You know, so I feel like if we're going to talk about pregnancy and sex, what can I do now, Coach?
Right.
Put me in, Coach. I feel good. Put me in.
What are you asking? What you should do to induce labor?
No, I'm asking what I should do to erase that memory from his brains.
You haven't had
Yes.
sex with him since?
No, of course
Okay,
we
we
have.
made
but I'm
another
just-
baby,
We have another
so
baby.
they
so
had it at least
one at a
once.
time.
Right. Before the boot.
Before the boot.
Just like,
But, I don't know. I feel like it's not the same.
So, okay, my biggest thing, I think that when I've been with my boyfriend for almost 2 years. We've been living together for quite some time in that relationship. And when we first got together, we did what all people do in relationships, right? You
69.
peacock.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no.
Sorry, I apologize. I don't want to interrupt. Go ahead.
Yes, we do. But no. So we display our best self, right?
Yeah.
And we take care of ourselves really well. We get the waxes, we put on our makeup and we work out all the time and
Shower daily.
And we shower daily, right? Exactly. So you're really at the top of your game when you're first dating somebody. And eventually, right, you're like, oh, he loves me. Look, and I've got this great ring. I'm going to get married and everything's going to be great and he's going to love me forever. And then things start to dip a little bit, and then we kind of loosen that game a little bit. We become loose ourselves, not sexually loose, but we become loose. Our skin gets a little bit not as tight because we're maybe not putting as much effort maybe. And that kind of, I think all those things kind of evolve to maybe what ends up being super comfortable with each other, right? And when you couple that, I think, with kids, because my boyfriend and I don't have kids currently. We're actually in the process of doing in vitro right now. And I think that since I've been actually my own personal story about preparing for this whole pregnancy thing is I've been going through hormonal changes and weight gain. And for me, I look in the mirror every so often and I go, I have to, especially as a sex coach, right? I have to really walk the walk. I have to be able to do what I'm recommending to my clients. And so I'm very conscious of re-examining every so often kind of where I stand within my relationship. And that for me is super instrumental because I constantly have to kind of go, what am I not doing anymore that I used to do before that was really exciting, So I'm constantly communicating. I mean, that's my big thing with my boyfriend is that I'm like, if you don't tell me what you like or what's not okay right now or what's gone away or anything like that, you have to just be on the same page as me because I need to know what's going on.
Well, he communicated, I do not want to have sex with you. You are 42 weeks pregnant.
Then.
We communicated that. Yeah, he
so-
communicated, yeah.
But you don't really want to erase the memory, right? I mean, it's you guys having...
Sounds like you kind of
No,
do.
I kind of do.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm wearing a boot and he still wants... It's fine, but I'm just saying I feel like it's still there. It's still...
Sure. Well, I mean, if it was about recreating intimacy and sexiness, which is what you had, I'm assuming, right, when you guys first got together?
I mean, I don't know. I'm an immigrant, so I don't really think these chin
boot,
hairs
though?
ever have sexiness. But go ahead.
The boot probably should be removed when you are planning to maybe have sex.
I was not planning.
Right,
I was wearing a boot.
So maybe if you plan on it, right? You might plan on it, and then that way you could just not have the boot on.
Well, yes. We're having we're going for the first time ever in, 6 years. I have a gig, and I'm going to take him with me. No kids for the first time.
Oh, wow.
Exciting.
Ever.
Wow.
Very cool.
Ever.
Congratulations.
We're going to go away for
That's
it's just
exciting.
2 nights. So, I'm going to do everything. I'm going to pretend like I'm 19. It's going to be the biggest throwback Thursday ever. And I'm going to...
Oh, you know what you could do?
What?
Leave the boot at home?
Yes,
Yeah.
no boot.
2 days,
Actually,
yeah.
my plantar
You could-
fasciitis is better. I'm not wearing it as much.
The steamer.
Congratulations. Oh, yeah.
Good segue,
Thank you very much.
Dr.
Right. I
Berlin.
was just
Well
thinking.
done.
What do I do?
Steamer.
I will steam anything.
So let me tell you why steaming before sex is great.
Okay.
So the way that steaming works is that you sit over a steaming pot of herbs. It just increases lubrication and
Okay.
circulation. So
Okay.
that helps with arousal.
Are you saying right before or a couple days before?
No, like right before. So it's like, I don't know, 8:30, 9 o'clock, you had your dinner. Oh, honey, go do your little thing for a second. You steam for 10, 15 minutes.
But you go into the bathroom and you steam?
I steam in front of my TV. But you could steam anywhere.
Wait, what is it? What?
Wow.
So it's a wooden stool, and it has a hole in the middle. So, imagine what you're seeing right in front of you. And you put a mason jar with steaming water and herbs, and the steam comes up between your legs, and it goes up inside your vagina.
So it's like the Korean spa they have.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, I've seen
But
those.
at
Have
home,
you done it?
It's the home Korean spa.
Wait, a Korean spa? What do you mean? I go to the Korean spa all the time.
So they
not
have
all
it
of
at the
them have
Korean
it.
spa.
They do?
Yeah.
You're missing out. Wrong Korean spa.
Where?
Yeah.
Which one?
Not all of them. Like,
Not all
Which
of them.
one?
They have
Tell me
different
right
menus.
now.
Well, for sure,
I
the
will
Olympic
fight you
spa
in the
does not
parking
have
lot.
it.
My
Tell me.
favorite is Olympic, but they don't have it there.
yeah.
Oh,
That's
okay.
where I go.
Where do
Just
they
there,
have
they
it
didn't
then?
I don't know. I don't go to the other ones.
Okay.
Maybe Natura. I don't know.
I've been to
But
Natura.
anyways, so it helps
Yeah,
with
Google.
lubrication.
Okay.
And it helps with circulation. So you have
Okay.
better. Well, sex coach, please confirm that
Also,
circulation,
Circulation
helps
is-
with
Yeah.
orgasm,
It's
right?
definitely better for
It
orgasm.
shrinks
This
the
is how it
pores in your
works.
vagina, too.
It makes
If
your
you have
vagina tighter.
Blackheads.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You really need to wax if you have
Vajacne.
blackheads on your
Is that a thing?
vagina.
Vajacne?
You could do the charcoal mask for your labias. Okay, I'm all for it. I'll do. I tell my husband all the time, if you want to have sex with me, here's what I need. I need you to tell me I can go to the Korean spa
Right.
and I can go and sit and steam and sauna and scrub, and then I'll come home feeling so amazing. I'll do whatever you want. Whatever.
Oh,
That's all I need in my life is to be naked with Koreans.
So you could
That's
do
all I
it.
need in
You
my
can
life.
do it at home, but it also makes you very relaxed too. So if you are somebody who gets anxious before sex or like kind of in your head,
I feel like that was a very
it helps you.
anti-Semitic statement. Just because I have just regular Jew anxiety, don't try to mask it in some sort of vaginal steam sentence. All right? I know what you're trying to say. I'm on to you. But yes, I get it.
Okay.
It was, no, I feel amazing after I steam any part of my body.
Right.
It's, yes. I feel like sex is better. Everything is better. The world is better. I feel
Everyone
like
just needs to steam.
I
Like
feel
that's
like
the
steaming
answer.
all day,
No,
every
that
day.
should be like legally. You should have to
life.
steam because it opens up the largest organ
Yeah.
of your body.
You're talking about your skin, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just checking.
Just
Oh.
checking. Just checking, Yolka. Relax. This one over here, I'm telling you.
So now I'm glad you guys are both here.
I
This is
know.
a revelation.
I'm very happy. I want to get some other pointers for my weekend away.
Well, I have a question. So do people ever just call you like just technical? Just like purely technical?
Like, am I doing this right?
Playbook?
Yeah, like how do I XYZ, or like
Yeah.
I really can have an orgasm, or I want to have an orgasm like this, or
For
how do I give
sure.
a great blowjob?
Yes. So
There's a 10-year-old in the
it's
room.
not.
Is that-
It's not as weird, I think, of a question for people to ask those kinds of things, but usually those are not like the ones that I really can bank on for being like clients. Usually, I mean, I get a lot of calls. Anytime you have like sex in your title, people are calling and they're like, "Listen, this is what I really like to do. I like to take it out," and I'm like, I'm not really sure that this is a good fit.
Congressman.
So there's a plenty of people who call in, under the guise of saying, like, hey, listen, am I doing this right, or whatever, and I'm like, or how do I just want to have better, and I'm like, those are the calls usually that are not the ones that are asking for like help, like real help, where they're actually asking for like, creating better relationships or more intimacy or, finding love or whatever. So yeah, there's not a lot of
But you are kind of like a love coach with a fancy title.
Yeah.
With like a cool title.
Yeah.
Because it's not mechanical sex coach. It's like the whole package.
Yeah.
Love, intimacy, romance.
Yeah, but that's my style, though. That's kind of, how I've cultivated sort of the term, I guess. What I found is that because sex is such a loaded word, that I had trouble kind of advertising on Facebook and on Instagram. Anytime you had sex anywhere involved, and advertising became an issue. And so I was like, how do I get creative with this? And I was like, my specialty anyways is all of these things. So maybe if I just like say, I'm relationship, love, and intimacy sex coach, then, the sex becomes a little
You could
less
sneak through Facebook.
less obvious,
Yeah.
But I am a sex coach trained.
Right. And
For a
certified.
university.
Yeah.
That's right. That's
what's
real.
Sexology.
What's the
SCU.
mascot? What's the mascot over there?
It's a vulva. The fighting vulvas. Yeah.
Very nice.
Amazing.
Oh.
I hope that vulva's steamed because it's going to be better on the field.
We steam all our vulvas.
Good. Good.
So you talked about, you jumped to 42-week, get this baby out of me sex, but
Yeah.
what about in between? Just during pregnancy in general?
Yeah. So, I mean, my biggest thing, I'm constantly reminding couples that sex, even though we all think of sex as being one of those things that's great, just spontaneous, just like, take me now, this is it, let's do it, that's so passionate, that's so wonderful. The reality of that is, I think when you've been in a long-term relationship, the most important thing is to schedule sex. And as unsexy as that sounds, it's actually like one of the best things ever. Because once you have a really busy schedule, we all have our modern lives, it's like really difficult to kind of bring in that practice of having sex, Because if you take out the practice of if you take out like your yoga practice, you just don't do it anymore. You might go, oh, I can't wait to get to that yoga class. And then you finally do yoga and you're like, oh my God, that felt so great. You're like, I should really do this every week. And in this, sex is the same thing. It's the same with waxing. It's the same with getting our nails done or whatever. If you don't do something that you normally do, you get out of practice and then it's really hard to bring it back in. So
But I feel like sometimes during pregnancy, women have issues with their body as they're growing. Sometimes men have issues with their bodies. They're not as attracted or more attracted, depending on what's going on.
Yeah, with regards to having sex when you're pregnant, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And men are always afraid they're going to hurt the baby.
Yeah.
Always, yeah.
Absolutely.
And Dr. Goldberg always says, you wish you could hurt the baby. Yeah.
I mean, the biggest thing for me too, I got into being a sex coach because I started as a feminist. I went to a high school here in Los Angeles, Westlake School for Girls, which is now Harvard Westlake. And we were a primarily feminist education. And so the story that I tell is that I really got into wondering what it meant to be a normal, healthy, sexually expressed female in society today. I was really wondering what it meant to be female, what all these symbols were post kind of the feminist movement, bra burner generation of us trying to kind of be living in the society where we were actually equal to men. We could just wear jeans and T-shirts and just be just like men, right? So my exploration of all of that kind of came into, well, actually, it's okay if we just own our womanhood and our sexiness and our attractiveness and really just stand firmly within that. So to bring it back to sex coaching and where I came to, part of my sex coaching belief is that I think that women really have to stand in their sexiness and really own their femininity. And part of that means really being more sexy. And I don't mean in your day-to-day life all the time, which if you are, then that's great. But being able to be pregnant is kind of the height of women's fertility, right? It exudes this feminine, beautiful goddess body. And that to me is actually super attractive. So in Western civilization, I think we tend to think that we're getting bigger and fatter and more attractive when really it's a kind of adopting a different perspective and just kind of seeing it as quite the opposite. You can think very differently about whatever you want to think any time of the day if somebody poses a new point of view. And that's kind of my role, is to be able to kind of reinvent that place for women and being able to feel better about,
sort of change the paradigm around it.
And again, coming from costuming, it was I already had that experience, of helping people kind of have better self-esteems around, what they were wearing or how they carried themselves. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yes.
You don't have to go to a Korean spa. You can self-esteem.
Vag-esteem.
Yeah.
I think he just branded you right there.
Self-esteem.
You need to.
.com.
It'll be my Instagram tomorrow.
.me.
I'll credit you.
Thank you. What about, I have this, because you said schedule it. Is there, it sounds like you said a little too mechanical, but
It sounds like it, right? Yeah.
But I could see it working. Is there a frequency that's recommended?
Depends on the couple. So I'll just speak specifically about my life.
Sure.
I felt like it was important for me to have sex probably 3 times a week. And that's like an iffy 3, you know? So like we don't have any kids right now at the house, so it's easy to schedule 3 times a week. But most of the time, you know, like if we've had like Mexican food or, you know, some kind of gas-inducing meal, there might be like stomach issues. And so we're not always, and we might be tired, we might be too stressed out, we might not be there that night, we might have plans. So we're flexible with those 3 nights.
Flex sex.
Yeah, we're flex sex, exactly.
Program.com.
My honey and I have the flex pass.
But what you're saying, it makes sense though. But if you schedule it and then, you know, opt out once in a while, it's better than not scheduling it and only opting in once in a while.
Yeah, and that opens up the lines of communication. We go, okay, listen, we're going to have sex on Sunday nights, Wednesday nights, and then Friday and or Saturday, you know? So we can kind of at least know that those are the days that we kind of like avoid Mexican food, you know? Or we avoid
don't wear the boot.
And we don't wear the boot, right?
Warm up the steamer.
But we will definitely be steaming.
Right. Both
So,
of you?
yeah.
Nice.
No, I mean, maybe not him.
3 times a week.
I don't know. Is it for guys
my
too?
gosh.
Men can steam.
Men can
Men
steam
can
too.
steam.
Men can steam?
A
Come
steam.
on. A steam.
Yeah.
A steam?
You don't want a pee steam.
Yeah.
Oh.
What do you mean? Like their
Oh, wait.
taint?
Yeah. And their perineum, yes.
Tea steam.
And their
They're
anus.
steaming their taint?
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I love that idea.
That's hilarious.
Maybe
You
you
know,
offer to your
couples that
clients
steam
as like
together.
foreplay. Kind of, yeah.
Well, for health
Wow.
and wellness.
Now,
love
I have a
that.
question, and I'm all on board, so don't take this the wrong way. So, you know how douching is not actually good for you?
Right.
To kind of like put anything foreign and,
Yeah.
you know, it disturbs the flora. Does this have anything to do with that?
No, it's different.
it's
So
different.
it
Okay.
helps to rebalance the flora. 'Cause if you imagine
Okay.
douching, you're actually inserting something into
Right.
the vagina, and then that thing is spraying water or
Yeah.
vinegar or whatever
Oh my gosh. Or
into the vagina. So that can upset the healthy flora balance.
Kombucha.
Very well.
kombucha.
Or kombucha,
Yeah.
if
He
Dr.
shakes
Berlin
his-
just
You
shook
shake
the
the
bottle.
kombucha and then
Yeah.
it was an accident.
So this is
Maybe you
different.
could steam with kombucha. Although, no, the heat element would kill all of the
All the
good stuff.
The good
Yeah.
biotics.
Yeah. The good biotics.
That's my term.
The pre or probiotics.
So that's good to know. So I figured I just was clearing
Yeah,
that
Nicole
up.
practices safe steaming.
Safe steaming.
Right? Isn't that true?
Totally.
So many Instagram accounts just we created for you tonight.
Right, I know. I need like a paper and pen to just take notes.
Well, luckily
Or
we're
I
recording
could
it.
Listen to it.
Yeah,
Later.
exactly. I'll send you the link. How about this? How about after the baby comes? Right? So there's like a period of time. It's a big transition for so many reasons. Emotional, you're not sleeping as well, usually eating as well. The relationship often takes a hit. I sort of feel like any relationship between two people is like trying to climb up a down escalator.
Sure.
You know? And I think that having a baby speeds up the escalator.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my biggest thing is for couples that have already had, that have just had children, a lot of times there's so much pressure, I think, on the female to think, I gotta just get my body back and really be like sexy again. And the pain, maybe if they've endured any pain during childbirth, which I know a few have.
What?
Yeah.
It tickles.
So yeah, about having a lot of honor for being able to say this is kind of maybe like a no-go zone for a little while and just resting, because our bodies need to heal. I mean, they're such amazing mechanisms that can heal us, right, really fast. So if you're lucky enough to be able to have a fast healing post-pregnancy time, then you should be fine to be able to have sex. And, I'm not even sure exactly how long it takes each person or whatever, but when you finally are okay, then you've given yourself enough time to be able to heal, and then you can have normal sex, because I think that the problem comes in.
There's a 6-week, most midwives and doctors do a 6-week post-baby checkup.
Right, but if you've had like an
like, the green light.
episiotomy or like, anything else, like there's like
Just that seems like the earliest time.
the earliest time.
I wouldn't say that's early. I feel like and I can only speak for my own vagina, but I have 2 babies, and the first baby I had a 2nd-degree tear, and I feel like I healed maybe normal to slow. But like even once I was healed, there was so much stuff to integrate. Like there's milk leaking out of my boobs, which are the size of my head or larger, which are smacking my husband in the face while we're trying to have sex, and I'm not lubricated enough because I'm breastfeeding.
Right.
You didn't steam.
It's crazy. I didn't steam.
No.
You're right, I didn't steam.
That's what it comes back
But
to.
there's like for me, I know that there was a lot to integrate. And then you have this whole idea of what you are as a mother versus who you were before a baby came out of you.
Absolutely.
You were just a woman. And so I had to make sense of what a mother who has sex is like as myself versus just my previous, you know,
so then it becomes like
self.
a reinvention kind of, you know,
So
like who
there was
you
a lot
are.
of work.
From
Physical work,
Yeah.
emotional
But
work.
how do you do that together?
Yeah.
You talk it through?
Yeah, I'm like, this is crazy. There's milk all over you right now to my husband. I mean, like, I just had to say what was going on. And I think that really helped because
But did that bother him?
the milk?
Yeah.
I don't think it
I
bothered
don't
him.
think so either. I wouldn't think so either.
Was it like a medical issue?
He's like, where's the lactate?
Oh, yeah.
She wants to have sex.
and how old are your kids?
6. No. Oh, my God. That would be your child. You have a 6-year-old.
Yes.
5 and 3.
5 and 3.
Yeah.
And the ages, see, you have 2 years.
They're so close together.
So close.
Yeah.
That's so hard to have baby. I don't
It's
know how people,
insane.
yeah. I mean, I once checked into a hotel room that they hadn't cleaned yet. And that must
Where are
be,
you going with this?
That must be what it's like. When it's not ready to be checked. It's not, when the room's not ready yet. It was a late checkout. It's not ready. It's a mess. It's a mess in there. Yeah, because we have 4 years difference.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like maybe a more ideal spread. Yeah.
Well, there's
Ours are all
positive,
2
there's
years apart, but
Well, you're in the clear now. Like everyone could go into the kitchen and like make a peanut butter sandwich
on their own?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but now there's like kids running around all the time. Like the older kids stay up late.
How late?
Like 10 o'clock?
Oh, that's late.
Wait, how old are your kids?
7, 9, 11, and 13.
7, 9, 11, and 13.
June 1st, June 7th, June 10th, and April 30th, 2004, 6, 8, and
Look,
10.
I'm not asking for socials. I don't know
I'm
why
just
all of a
saying.
sudden you got
It's just
real.
because I'm German. I'm
That's
just saying
impressive,
very
though.
well engineered.
Like most dads are like, April.
I know how much they weigh.
Oh.
We are going to take a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You know, I have a question for you. May I ask you? Because I haven't
Turn the tables.
I haven't really spoken to you about your doula experience.
Mm-hmm.
What it's like for you as a man to be a doula.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, I have
You're the first male doula I've ever heard of.
we're
Am I
a
crazy?
very small group on Facebook.
There's
Of
3.
course, you have a
There's
group. I love that you have Steve.
No, we don't really
Do you
have a group. I'm saying if we did, it would be a small group.
Oh, okay.
And
You
there's
should
not,
start the group.
And we're all very diverse. Some of us were not born men. Some of us, it's like there's not a lot of male doulas.
No.
And I know one male lactation consultant, and yeah, he's a pediatrician though. It kind of
Okay.
makes a lot of sense.
Okay, that makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
But
So
what
for
is it
me,
like for you as a male doula?
it's the same progression. Like I do a lot of body work during pregnancy. We do
Yeah.
massage. We do chiropractic adjustments. We do a lot of labor preparation. And the body work that we do is both mechanically relaxing, tight muscles, releasing them, but also mind-body relaxing. So the first time I ever went to a birth was because I got called to a home birth by a midwife. This baby was just stuck for 7 hours at 7 centimeters. Oh my gosh. And they were racking their brains trying to figure out. It was posterior, so the skull was against the back of the spine. All of her labor was in the back, and the baby just could not budge through there. And she called me, and I remember because I was in the pet store trying really hard not to buy a pet with my family. And she said, I know you can get breech babies to turn sometimes. Can you get a posterior baby? Can you get this baby to rotate its skull off of her spine onto her belly? And I said, I don't know, but I would love to get out of this pet store, so I'm going to come try. And I went there, and I didn't know either. They were filming a documentary, so this is all on film. And I went there and I worked with her for like 2 to 3 hours. And she was in that sort of, excited state. It's like half pain, half pleasure.
This was
state.
in her house.
In her house.
At 7
Now-
centimeters.
Santa
At
Monica.
7 centimeters, and she's laboring for that long. Nobody said maybe you go to a hospital.
They were talking about it, and
Okay.
then, but they were trying to think like, what else can we do?
How do they know the baby's not in distress?
They monitor the baby at home regularly, and if the baby's showing even pink flag signs of distress, they go to the hospital right away.
How are they monitoring the baby? The same tool they use in a hospital?
Different tool, but they have a handheld tool that listens
Okay.
to the baby's heart rate, and they check in.
It
Depends.
just makes me very nervous when I hear that. But go ahead, please continue.
Yeah.
So you're there.
So I'm there. We do this body work, and it's my first time meeting her, and she's in this half semi-orgasmic state, right? And so I'm just like, hi, I'm trying to get informed consent. My name is Elliot Berlin. I'm a chiropractor. I'm going to do some body work and adjustments with you. Is that okay? And she's just like, hi, Dr. Berlin. I love you. And it's so nice to meet you. I'm like, okay, great. And every time I push into her, she's like, again, like half pain, half pleasure. And then it was about 2.5 hours of body work, just really strong, tight back and pelvis, very athletic woman. And as we release things, you can feel her whole body opening up. And about 2.5 hours in, we just all sort of heard and felt the baby clunk the other way, off her spine.
Wow.
And she just said, God bless you saved my birth. And from there, she progressed pretty quickly, and she gave birth. So that story got out. And then
you
I got
stayed for
called.
the birth. You stayed for
I
the...
left. No, I left.
You
I went
left.
back to my family.
Okay.
My job was done. But I got called to another birth a couple weeks later for a very similar thing where what I did didn't end up helping. The baby was stalled and she ended up needing to go to the hospital. She ended up getting an epidural, which helped her relax a lot. And then she also ended up having a vaginal birth. But those stories started to get out, and I was getting called more and more at the last minute with babies or pregnancies that were stalled or stuck or too much pain. And it was working. And then eventually I got a call from this one girl, and she said, hi, I'm 37 weeks pregnant. And my friend Becky said, you came and massaged her for like 3 hours while she was in labor. I want you to come massage me while I'm in labor. And I was like, well, Becky's baby was stuck. And she said, why do I have to wait for my baby to be stuck? And I really didn't have a good answer for that. I'm like, I don't have an answer for that, so let's try it. And I went, and it was kind of amazing to not have a problem.
Right.
And to do body work on someone who responds really well to body work, and just help her stay physically and mechanically relaxed and emotionally relaxed using body work, and watch that birth just progress really smoothly. And I did stay to the end of that one because that's what she wanted. And then I ended up in a few situations where it got really weird because there was no doula. One in particular, I just got called to this birth center. Baby was stuck for a long time. They had been laboring for almost 30 hours and never met this woman before, never met her partner. The midwife called, she said, please, this is our last hope, is maybe you can get things going again. And I got called in there, and the midwife and her assistant were exhausted. They'd been up for so long. They didn't even introduce me. They're like, she's in there. Okay. And I go in there, and there's this woman on the bed. It's at a birthing center. She's on the bed, and her partner, husband, I don't know what. He's like, are you Berlin?
Nice to meet you.
my God.
Yeah, he goes, oh, thank God, I got to go get some smokes. Okay, and he left, and I was there for hours. He never came back.
No.
What are
He
you
was like, he
talking
wasn't a
about?
husband. He was sort of like baby daddy. Didn't seem that comfortable being there, very exhausted. So I walk up to this woman. She's sort of in a child's pose on the bed. And again, got to give her informed consent. This is what I want to do, why I want to do it, make sure you're okay with it. But you ever talk and you feel like there's nobody listening? Like
I
you're
have
not
kids.
sure if
I have kids.
okay, good. You're on the phone but not sure if you got disconnected or not. That's
Right.
what it felt like, but she was right there. And I don't want to start yet because I don't feel a connection and I don't have consent to do what I need to do.
Yeah.
And I wait for a minute or two, and it's awkward. Just me and her. Never met her before. Nobody else in there. All of a sudden, she picks up her head and she looks at me with like these very green eyes, and she says, and just threw up all over the place.
Come on.
Oh.
Yeah. And I'd never been to this birth center
Is that
before.
consent?
I'm not sure
Vomit be
exactly. So I
consent?
called my lawyer right away. I had to help her change, I'd find sheets and change the bedding. It turned out to work really well. But as labor was kicking in more, she was sort of looking back at me like, help me, like coach me, guide me. And I'm like, I just rub stuff and crack things. I don't know how to help you. And so at that time, I decided I should do doula training because I've been going to all these births.
Yeah.
And I need more. Sometimes they're going to need more from me. And my wife was also in the birth industry. She was a pre- and postnatal psychologist, and we just decided to do it together.
Oh, she did it too.
She did it too. We became a couple of doulas, no pun intended.
Oh my
sort of.
gosh, that
And,
is kind of adorable.
They're
I know.
adorable, right?
My kids
Because
know
they're
everything.
doulas,
Yeah.
a couple of
Thank you.
doulas, and you know.
I'm going to play that song for her tonight.
Wow, that is really, that's one of those things where it makes so much sense. When I heard you were doing it, I thought, yeah, that's yes. But also, and not that I have anything against a man being in the room. I have a male gynecologist. I prefer male gynecologists. Every female gynecologist I've ever had was very catty with me.
Oh.
I like male gynecologists because they are there to just do a job, and I've never felt any judgment. My first gynecologist in college, San Diego State, Dr. Kuntsman.
You're lying.
I am not lying to you.
And it was gynecologist.
College. I love
you.
your puns.
Thank
Dr.
you.
Kuntsman.
I love your
It
puns.
wasn't Dr. Kuntzman.
He pronounced it Kuntzman.
Of course he
Thank
did.
you.
Yeah.
Of course he did.
But I prefer male, so I'm not. So this isn't judgy at all. But when I heard
I'm
you
sort
were
of curious who you
doing
go to
it-
now.
I know. I was. You probably know my gynecologist, Dr. Banuni, which also sounds like a vagina.
Yeah, it is in Persian. It's in Persian.
And I just, when I heard you were doing it, it just made so much sense.
Well, thank you.
It made, and I mean, I almost want to have another baby just so you could be my doula.
I would be there for you.
I'm never going to have another baby.
Right.
But I love that you're there because, wow, I mean, you bring so much. It's like a whole different side of what a doula is. My first doula, thumbs down to the ground.
Really? After the
Terrible
induction?
experience. Terrible experience. Second doula, different person. Great. She was great. But the first doula, I was shaking. I had a 22-hour labor. So hour 20.
With
I
a
was
10-pound baby.
Yeah, I was just shaking. And she was like pinning me down. She's like, stop shaking.
What?
Yes.
Really?
I know. It's
Not
terrible.
okay.
No, I don't
I
remember that chapter.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, that
because
was
it's
not, I'm
not
sure that's not
in
part
there.
of your training. So that was just such a. oof.
I always shake because I was in the South for a while. To be polite, I shake too, so they feel, like if somebody spills, you're supposed. I heard this when I was living in Georgia. If somebody spills at your table, you're supposed to spill too.
Spill also.
So they feel good.
It's like
But then it's like a
hysterical
domino.
shaking.
Everybody's spilling.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So
polite.
we just shake.
So
we
polite.
do song parodies while we're in labor. That's what I like to do.
What? Give me an example.
Well,
Like Weird Al style? Song
well,
parody?
just whatever's on her playlist. Let it go, don't hold on anymore.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Let it go, relax your pelvic floor. I don't care as long as I don't tear. Yeah, you did this to me. I'm not talking to your mother anymore. Anyway, stuff like that.
Oh my God.
It's
That's
just fun,
so
just whatever
great.
comes up.
Yes. Yes.
amazing.
No, you have
We have
to.
a good time. You'd be a great doula too, because comedy is really helpful.
If I didn't have to work at night.
Yeah, you'd
And
be
not,
a doula.
I don't want to ever cancel a gig. I would totally be a doula. But my fear is like I would have to, I'd have like some amazing set somewhere, and then I get a call. I'm going into labor. And it's like I'm going up on the Laugh
sorry, I
Factory.
gotta go, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I got a
Yikes.
7-minute, yeah.
I have to go tell dick jokes. So whoopsie daisies. Have fun. But I would totally be a doula because I'm fascinated by that world now that I've gone through it 2 times, and I know that I could. I don't know all the stuff that you would do, right? That's
But we're different.
such an extra
I
layer.
find that so much of it has to do with helping someone not be afraid.
Right.
And so I can do it with body work, but you can do it with comedy. And,
Yes, yes,
and
yes.
it's just when you're laughing, your body's like, I'm not being chased by a tiger.
Right. My husband asked me to turn it off during the second pregnancy. So second pregnancy, no drugs, and moving around way more because the first one I was induced, so I eventually had to get an epidural. And then I told him to turn off the epidural. So eventually I felt everything anyway. So it was just such a different labor. But I feel
And nobody
happy
strapped
that
you
I-
down while you were shaking.
No.
Which is
I
my
could
God.
shake
Yeah.
all I want. I could shake the baby out. Shake, right? All right.
do it.
So I'm trying to do your parodies. It's not working.
Oh, thanks.
But I feel like I've had both. So I feel like I can be respectful to whatever. If you choose epidural, hey, I get it. But also, like, if you don't want to do any drugs, that's great too. But during my second labor, I was trying to make the nurses laugh, and my husband was like, "Please just turn it off," and I couldn't turn it off.
You couldn't. It's what comes out of you, and it probably makes you feel like safer.
I feel like you bring your own unique flavor to being a doula, and you're bringing like, I'm going to make you so relaxed and make your body feel great, and everyone brings their own sort of unique thing. So
yeah. The great your first doula might be amazing for someone else,
Right, for someone else.
for someone
Not
who
for
likes
me.
to be
For someone who's
tackled.
not
Yeah.
shaking.
Exactly,
exactly.
or not shaking. Well, that was part of the conversation I didn't see coming. I would say this. First of all, Bianca, when you talked about changing the paradigm around the growth during pregnancy, that it's not just I'm big and I'm heavy, but I have curves and I'm radiant and I'm, not
Peak
everybody's
of fertility.
peak of fertility. Not everybody's going to feel like that, no matter what happens.
No, sure.
But I will just say we are organizing a flash mob of third trimester pregnant women. Hopefully by the time this airs, we'll have the video. And it's all we have a choreographer doing this this dance choreography to Justin Timberlake's "I'm Bringing Sexy Back."
That's so funny.
And the whole
Can I be
idea is,
invited,
of course,
please?
it's to
I
raise.
still look a little pregnant. Does that
I
count?
was like,
Sure,
I'm
come
I'm
along.
not
I
there
do
trying to
too.
fake pregnant, but
You can totally come along. My wife actually, she insisted on getting pregnant again before I lost all the baby weight from the first baby. So I'm still, now after 4 babies, I'm still
You guys are done, right?
I don't know. You gotta ask her. I just carry the luggage.
Oh my God.
I just do the playlist. All right. Is there final thoughts? Anybody have final thoughts on sex during, before, or after pregnancy? Go.
Can't get pregnant.
Can't get pregnant?
Yeah.
right.
Have sex
That's
when you're
true.
pregnant.
Yeah.
Oh, because you can't get pregnant.
Get pregnant.
Nothing to worry about.
It's great.
During. Right.
That's a
Got
great
it.
tip.
Right?
Yeah.
So do it.
I love it. Yeah.
Thank you, Kira. That's a meaningful tip. I'm going to write that down.
Just the tip.
Just a tip. On Instagram, at just a
There
tip.
you go. Add it to the long list.
And Nicole, final thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I really like what you said about embracing the ripe, juicy, feminine, sensual person that you're becoming when you're pregnant.
I feel like you added juicy,
I love that
but
word.
it's fine. It's a you kind of
I
word.
really
It's a
love the
really
word
good
juicy.
word. What don't we
but
love
just-
about juicy?
Yeah,
I like
it's
juicy, but that's a little different.
Juicy,
Yeah,
juicy.
I want to open a
Juicy.
juice truck called Juice for Juices, but my
You
rabbi
told me
didn't
about
approve.
this.
Yeah.
I was telling you about
Choose for
Juice for
juices.
the
juices.
cheese shop that I wanted to do.
The cheese shop.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Why don't you?
Or wait, what was the
cheese
other
and
one?
crackers.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus crackers.
That'd be great. All in the baby cheeses and section, or with the Swiss cheeses will
goat
be
cheeses.
holy cheeses
Yeah.
with the Swiss cheeses on a stick. That doesn't seem right.
I mean, I feel like he wants to be in on the business now.
I totally do.
I mean,
I feel like he
juice and cheese truck.
I love cheesy puns, so this
Yeah.
is perfect. You don't get
I'm with
more
it.
cheesy than these puns. Bianca, final thoughts. First of all, I did have one question that kept popping up in my mind. Just curious.
Tell me.
Do gay couples have the same love and relationship problems as straight couples?
Question.
Yeah, I mean, look,
Thank you.
everybody's different, right? So, I mean, usually, I think that gay couples usually want to be just like hetero couples, and the reality is that it's not the same dynamics a lot of times. So it's really hard for gay couples to want to be like hetero couples. I'm holding up.
Is that like
bunny.
vegans eating soy hot dogs?
Similar but different. But yeah, so I think it's a better idea to have a healthier idea of what it means. We have to kind of create this because there hasn't been a real traditional idea of what it means to be a gay couple in America now. You know, we the idea is that
It's a new chapter.
it's a new chapter, yeah. So they have to write it, and
Is that what you encourage?
writing the new chapter for
Yeah.
what it means to be a healthy gay couple in America.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, or in the world.
All right, what if two
Universe.
gay guys are wearing a boot? And all right, I'll ask you off air. It's too technical.
Well, they don't have that pregnancy problem.
No boots in bed.
They can have sex while anyone's pregnant.
Right. And they don't have to worry about getting pregnant ever. It's your dream.
I know.
I would like to thank everybody for joining us on this podcast today. Our co-hosts, Kira Soltanovich, and we can find you online at
KiraComedy.com.
KiraComedy.com.
And I apologize for the tuberculosis.
Oh, yeah, it's okay. I don't think they can catch it. And Nicole Sessions, you have a couple of websites.
I do. So for
Yoni
people
Throne.
who are interested in yoni steaming or
V-steaming.
a-steaming.
What is yoni? Where does that come from?
It's a Sanskrit word for vagina,
Oh,
vulva.
that's what I thought.
Dr. Yoni, I think he's at Cedars.
Did you have Dr. Yoni? Oh, no, you had Dr. You had a different doctor. But he pronounces it Uni.
Uni.
Uni. Dr. Uni.
Kunzman and Uni.
Kunzman and Uni. It's a law practice. So Yoni Throne.
YoniThrone.me, and for my birth doula services and hypnobirthing, lovebloomBirth.com.
LovebloomBirth.com. And Bianca White, our guest today.
Thank you so
Certified
much.
sex coach. We can find you online at
HollywoodLoveCoach.com.
HollywoodLoveCoach.com. And your practice is here in Los Angeles.
It is, in
Can
Hollywood.
you work remotely with people over
Yeah, absolutely.
Skype and things? Oh, beautiful. So you're worldwide.
I can be. I'm not right now, but I like
But you can be.
local.
After this podcast, for sure.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everyone, for listening to the Informed Pregnancy and Parenting Podcast. Share us with your friends and visit us online for access to our blog, documentaries, and also soon the Flash Mob and other great pregnancy and parenting resources at informedpregnancy.com.